The strength of the warrior. The warrior pose series is designed to build confidence, grounding, leg strength, and a strong foundation for pretty much every other pose in your yoga practice. Welcome back to the Yoga Nomads. I'm Logan Haley. Today we're talking everything about the warrior pose series, which is actually kind of a 5-in-1. I'm going to walk you through all the different types of warriors that you can do, how to use them to hone your inner fierce courage and warrior power, and some tips and tricks on how to get the most out of these postures and ensure that you have proper alignment. So let's just dive right in. I want to show you a quick overview of the 5 different warrior poses. First things first, we have warrior 1. And then we have warrior 2. We have a reverse warrior. And then humble warrior. And last but not least, warrior 3, also known as balancing stick. So all of these poses are intermingled into a variety of different yoga flows, vinyasas, sun salutations, etc. They're not typically practiced in a sequence together, but you can do as you please. All of the poses build on each other, so naturally warrior 1 is the most beginner friendly and warrior 3 is the most challenging. Going into warrior 1, first, we want to acknowledge the importance of your foundation. The number one thing you will find in all of these poses is the importance of grounding throughout the foot, especially with a focus on this outside edge of your foot. That is your anchor. And I'm gonna roll up my yoga pants so I could show you exactly what that anchor looks like, because the rotation and the weight you put on that back foot in most of these poses is really gonna affect the strength of your warrior. And you'll see in a second what I mean. So to start with warrior 1, I like to start this in a nice runner's lunge. So join me with your right knee bent and your left leg back behind you. You can be up on your fingertips if you'd like, trying to straighten that spine. And first things first, we're going to anchor that back foot. So in a runner's lunge, you're up on the toes. To move into warrior, you're going to want to flatten that foot and face the toes out to the corner of the room. So this is about a 45-degree angle. At the same time, your right toes are going to stay straight out in front of you, okay? So as you do that rotation, you may want to play around with it. You don't want to be at 90 degrees, nor do you want to be like overly straight, because that can be painful. You want to find this happy medium where the knee feels comfortable and the ankle and the foot are comfortable, okay? So we're at 45 degrees in the back, we're straight forward in the front, and our legs are going to be in 2 parallel planes. They're not going to be a tightrope, okay? You can see that they're in 2 parallel planes so that we have more stability as we move into warrior 1. So we adjusted that back foot. We're still down in our low lunge. And as we get ready to push up, I just first want you to focus on that leg strengthening. So you're anchoring and pressing into the floor with your feet. You're activating your calves. You're activating your quads and your glutes. And now you can engage the core. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale and lift up. So it's great to start warrior 1 with your hands on your hips, because this helps you adjust your alignment. So this pose, we want to have our hips facing the front short edge of the mat, okay? So most of the time it's natural for that left hip to want to swing out as you come up. So you can put your middle finger or forefinger in the hip crease and try to rotate that left hip forward, engaging the left glute, deepening the knee in the right leg, deepening the bend to about 90 degrees and pulling that right hip back. So now we're nice and square, facing to the front, still pressing through the outer edge of that back left foot. And you can engage the core. Bring the arms up on an inhale. Roll those shoulders back and down. Face the palms inward. Arms are alongside the ears. Look up. Broaden that chest. And hold. Notice you're not overarching in the low back. Any spinal opening is happening in the heart. okay? And you don't want to lose, as you focus on the upper body, you don't want to lose your foundation down here. So you make sure that your knee stays bent at an angle that's comfortable for you. You can lean out of this, no problem, it'll make it a little easier. But you don't want to lean too deep past that 90-degree angle. You should still see your toe, and your knee should be stacked over your ankle. Hold this with me a little bit longer. Breathing, pressing into those feet, actively bringing that left hip forward, actively anchoring the edge of the back foot into the ground, channeling your inner fierceness as your legs start to burn a little bit. And exhale, bringing the hands down to the mat, stepping back your right foot, readjusting into a plank or onto your knees. And then let's try the other side. So bend up your left leg and place that foot about, again, a 90-degree angle. Come into your runner's lunge. Now step a little bit forward and adjust your right back foot into the 45-degree angle. Hands on hips, inhale. And we're up, adjusting your stance as needed. You may need to widen, you may need to come closer. And then bending into that front knee, anchoring through the back edge, shifting the hips forward. This time we're bringing the right hip forward and the left hip back. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, roll those shoulders down, deepen the lunge, squeezing the quads, squeezing the glutes, pressing into the mat. We're grounded, we're strong. We are working the legs. This is an energizing pose. We're building heat and fire and energy. It's beautiful. We're such strong warriors. Hold this a little longer. Exhale, bring those hands down. This time I'm just gonna step forward into a forward fold, and you can wiggle out your legs a little bit. So, first thing, probably noticing a little bit elevated heart rate, maybe a little sweat starting to form. That's the magic of the Warrior Series. It's a workout, and that's a good thing because we want to build that strong foundation. For the rest of our yoga poses, we want to tone up those yogi legs, and we want to channel that inner strength. Okay, the affirmation for the whole Warrior Series is I am strong. I am strong. So let's keep building that strength. Moving into Warrior 2. Now you can face the long edge of your mat and join me in a wide-legged stance. So you can adjust how wide or close together you want to be. I found that a couple inches wider than my hips tends to work best. So as we begin, we want to check that the edges of our feet, again, kind of our focal point, the outer edges of the feet are parallel to the sides of your mat, and your toes are facing forward, your hips are facing forward, okay? So we're square. Now we are going to turn out the left toes to the left-hand side of the room, making a 90-degree. In this pose, we are on a tightrope, okay? So the heel of the right leg is aligned with the heel of the left leg as it turns, vice versa in either warrior. So don't do the parallel thing like we did in Warrior 1. Warrior 2 is in one straight plane. You could practice this with two walls on each side of you, and you could be a warrior between them. So you've turned your left foot out to the side of the room, and now you're anchoring in towards that right leg. You are going to need to adjust your stance when you move into this, and that's totally fine. So you can bring your hands out to the side, rolling the shoulders back and down, lifting the chest on an inhale. We're lengthening, we're engaging the core. Exhale, bend into that left knee. You can see me adjusting my stance a little wider here. You may want to go closer, whatever works for you. We want to bend to, again, about that 90-degree. Never let that knee go past your ankle. You should always be able to see your big toe right in front of your knee. Holding here, we are already in a Warrior 2. This is perfect. You could be here, you could be here, you could be anywhere in this range that feels comfortable to you. And now focus on that strength and foundation. So root through the heel, through the outer edge of that right foot, lift the chest, engage the glutes. You're going to notice a bit of a pelvic tuck here because that is how you're going to stay in that one plane. So we're not doing this. We're tucking that pelvis in and leaning forward, okay? Sorry, leaning to the side. Forward in that case when I was facing you. So we hold here, continue to breathe. On the inhales, you could back out a little bit. On the exhales, you can go deeper. Feeling that nice stretch through the inner thigh. Feeling the glutes activating, the quads squeezing together. Imagine some resistance here, like these inner thighs are actually like working to go towards each other while the feet are pressing away from each other. It's almost like our mat could be stretching out because the force of this foot reaching this way and this foot pressing and reaching that way. Hold for one more breath. And then you can look over that left fingertip. Inhale. Straighten that leg back out. Turn back towards your wide-legged stance and prepare for the other side. So now I'm going to twist my right toes out to the side of the room. Again, realign those heels, adjust wider or closer as needed. Inhale the hands out and exhale, bend into the right knee. Now don't let your knee splay inward nor outward. It should stay in a nice line, okay? And again, imagine those two walls on each side of you, and that visual really helps me to stay aligned. So my hips are facing the long edge of the mat this time. They're not squared to the short edge the way they were in Warrior One. As you lunge, pay attention to that 90-degree angle. Pay attention to the back foot rooting through that back edge. And then look out over your right fingertips. Strong warrior gaze. Breathing, squeezing. That back leg is working. That front leg is lunging. Those toes are pointed out to the right-hand side. Breathing. Core is tightening to keep that low back nice and aligned. No arching or uncomfortable position in the lower back. And the shoulders are rolling back and down. One more breath. Inhale, coming up, straightening that right leg, heel toe back to a comfy wide-legged position. And now we've accomplished a Warrior Two. So next, we'll go into Warrior Three. This one, again, is more advanced, so feel free to try this with me on a wall if that's helpful for you. If you're doing this on a wall, you're just gonna start with your hands placed directly in front of you on the wall, and then step back as much as you need it until you can comfortably lift that back leg up. To do it without a wall, again, it all starts with the foundation. So inhale those arms up. Focus those feet to be about hip width apart, pressing and rooting into the ground the same way you would in mountain pose. Now shift your weight and into the right foot as you step forward with the left. Now shift your weight again into that left foot, engaging the calf, engaging the quad, engaging the glute. Now slowly lift that right toe up and hold here for a moment. This is where you find your stability. Your hips are facing forward. Your gaze is forward, okay? This still counts as a Warrior Three. This is totally fine if you want to hang out here because it's already pretty hard on its own. If you want to go further, you start to lower your torso down and at the same time bring your back leg up. This hinge requires reaching forward with your hands and reaching back with your toes, okay? Engaging the core, letting your gaze follow until it reaches down to the mat, feeling the stretch in the hamstring, the wobble in the standing leg, keeping those hands lifted, keeping that gaze focused and the hips rotated down, square to the floor. Engage the glute, kick back and up. Breathe, exhale, release, and step back. Okay, let's try the other side. And this time I want you to really focus on those hips. So you'll notice that, again, your hip has a tendency to want to come up. So if I came into warrior pose facing this angle, you could see how easy it is for my hip to want to go like this, which makes you fall. It's definitely hard. But if you want to find more stability, imagine your hips going down towards the mat so that you can better hold the balancing stick. The ultimate goal here is for your body to look like a capital T, balancing on one leg. Join me for the right hand side. Inhale the arms up, making sure those shoulders are relaxed and rolled back and down. Hands are facing each other. feet are hip-width distance apart. Shift that weight, step forward in the right foot. Anchor, micro bend that knee. And then lift off the left. Hold here for a moment. Hips are square to the front. Gaze is to the front. Hands are reaching up. And then begin to tilt. Kick back with that left foot and reach forward with those arms. Create resistance. Keep the left hip down. Don't let it roll out. Okay? Lower the head as it moves with the arms. Engage the core. Wobble. Press into the mat. Get that capital T. Hold one more breath. Exhale, stepping back. If you fall out or you wobble, that's totally normal. That's the fun of the pose. Strong warriors are willing to admit their mistakes and their falls and get right back up and go again. So we've covered the basics, right? We have warrior one. Do it with me real quick on your right leg. And then you could open up to warrior two, rotating the hips to the front. And then if you stepped back, you can go into warrior three, balancing stick. Whoop. You want to go slow. Okay? Those are the foundation. Congrats, you've already learned the main warriors. Now these two variations are called reverse warrior and humble warrior. So we'll start with the humble warrior because that's a variation of warrior one. I'll actually show you facing this way. So starting with, this time we can come from a mountain pose and you can easily just step back with that right foot until you find a stance that's comfortable for that front knee. Again, getting that angle right, okay? You want those back toes pointing at about 45 degrees while the front toes stay forward. And you are bending into that front leg, hands on the hips if that's useful. Glutes are active. Now, you will clasp your hands behind your back, lift the chest, roll the shoulders back and down, and feel this nice stretch in the upper body. Engage your core because you really don't want to hunch in your lower back here. Engage your core and then start to lower your torso over your knee and to the right hand side of the knee. Okay? Trying to keep the spine straight, the neck an extension of the spine, and stretching those back arms in whatever way is comfortable for you. So you may want to stay here. You may want to go all the way down. Whatever feels right, do not force it. You can also do the namaste behind your back if you'd like, reverse prayer. You can hold your hands clasped together, or you could just do flying airplane. Whatever feels right, but you are humbly bowing and holding and feeling an intense activation in your left bent knee, okay? Still rooting through that back leg, not falling in your arch, rooting through that back outer edge. And inhale, engage the core, hands to the hips if that helps, and lift back up. Humble warrior is some work, okay? It takes a lot of work to be humble. Let's do the right side. Again, starting in a mountain pose, feet hip width apart, hands on the hips, engage that right leg, step back with the left, find your ideal knee bend, find your ideal back foot angle, hips are square to the front. Clasp your hands, interlace the fingers behind you, and roll those shoulders back and down, opening the heart. Bend into the right knee. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, fold. Core is engaged. Squeezing the glutes, squeezing the quads, pressing into the feet. Keeping the neck as neutral as you can. Don't strain it up like this. Let it chill. Humble ourselves, because when your legs shake, it is humbling. And then, one more breath. Squeezing, pressing into the floor. Inhale, hands to hips, core engaged. Lift back up. Okay? So, Humble warrior is clearly a variation of warrior one. Your hips are to the short edge of the mat. The final pose in the warrior sequence is going to be reverse warrior. And this is a variation of warrior two, which means, you guessed it, our hips are going to face the long edge of the mat. So you can start again in your wide-legged stance. Shake those hips out because all of these are clearly a challenge for the hips. They're going to improve all of your flexibility here, open up your inner thighs, strengthen your legs, and also improve your circulation, which is really, really nice for those of us who tend to do the more restorative yoga poses, are very relaxing, but these are the poses that give you more of that workout. So, feet are facing forward, toes are forward. We'll start on the left-hand side, rotate the left foot out to the side, and then adjust your stance as needed. Get that 45-degree angle in the back leg. In the back foot, and bend into your left knee. Arms out to the side, shoulders back and down, chest lifted. Making sure you can see your big toe. Your quad is a straight line here. Your hips are facing forward. Your pelvis is tucked and your glutes are engaged. So to reverse this warrior, you're first going to begin lowering that right arm to the thigh. Your arm could be all the way down your thigh, all the way to your calf even, or it can be up here. I recommend starting close to the top, okay? Now rotate the left palm up towards the ceiling. And on an inhale, begin to reach. Reach up and back, feeling a huge opening in that left side body, okay? Engaging the core and letting the right arm glide down the right thigh. Looking up. You'll feel a lot of activation in the legs as you adjust this center of gravity. Breathing. Don't crunch into your side, but try to lift up and out. Imagine your rib cage pulling away from your hip. Breathing. Keeping the knee bend. That's the hardest part. One more. Exhale, coming back. Inhale, straightening that leg out. Heel toeing together to relax for a moment. And then let's go into reverse warrior on the other side. Right toes out, adjusting your stance. Hips square to the front. Begin to lower. Bend that right knee. Glutes are engaged. Knees stacked over the ankle. Arms out, shoulders back and down. Now inhale, flip the palm, lower the left hand, and begin to lift up and over in this beautiful arch. Okay, imagine a warrior with a bow. Don't forget your bend. It's easy to come out of it. Keep your knee bent as close to 90 degrees as you can handle. Imagine your ribs stretching away from the hips. Lower that left hand down the back thigh as a guide. Reaching up and over. Feeling that nice abdominal stretch. Holding. And release. Lift back up. Heel toe together. We have gone through the whole warrior sequence. So before I leave you, just remember these very important details about your alignment. Always make sure when your foot is rotated in warrior one, in humble warrior, that your outer edge is pressing in. You do not want your foot to be balancing on the arch like that. That's not comfortable. I like to imagine the foot as a rectangle. We've got four corners where we're pressing down, and that is what creates the really strong foundation, okay? The second tip is to pay attention to those hips. When you notice your hip rotating out when it's not supposed to, use those hands on your hips to bring them back. Square to the front in warrior one, warrior three, and humble warrior. Square to the side in warrior two and reverse warrior, okay? Tip number 3, always, 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 always keep those quads and glutes engaged. You should feel them squeezing and you should feel them working. These are not floppy poses, okay? These are strong poses. They're strong and powerful, okay? And you can dance a little, you can play with it. Just don't be afraid to lean into it as long as you're not going past that 90-degree angle. So if you enjoyed this video, please comment below with any questions, suggestions, ideas. We'd love to hear from you, and be sure to check out theyoganomads.com for everything you need to take your yoga practice to the next level, including all your spirituality tips, the best gear, the best mats, the best Lululemon outfits, and how to make money as a yoga teacher online. I am Logan Haley. Thanks again for joining me. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to support the channel, and have a beautiful day. Namaste.